And so even though I haven't visited yet, I have not gone there yet because I want peace to have a chance, but I've been pulling the strings. I sent a delegation to the Yebunra to prevent him from leaving Damango and going to Biniri, which would have escalated the conflict. And he listened to me as a father, and he refused to go. I stopped the Bolera too from going there. We gave the chiefs an escort to go and see the place where the incident happened. And I think that that has lessened tensions. As I speak, we've given the security services the authority and the resources to begin to bring some of the displaced people back to their communities. And so we're going to work hard to make sure that we bring peace to Gonjaland. We need peace to develop. Our common enemy is poverty, it's not each other. Savannah is one of the poorest regions in the country. And so we must rather be fighting poverty rather than fighting each other. And the last one, the creative arts. The creative arts is one of the important sectors. What we notice is that the creative industry creates jobs faster than the traditional sectors that we have known. By the time or manufacturing creates one job, the creative sector, digitalization, knowledge industry, arts and things would have created about 5 jobs. And so that's an area in which we have to continue to invest. And that is why we created them as a ministry together with tourism. The Black Star experience will take off. They've been working on all the foundational issues, and you'll soon see a sign of it. In the next budget, we're going to make some allocation for the creative arts, for the film fund, and to support Kumawood and all the filmmakers, to support the music industry, to support the arts and all that. We need to put our money where our mouths are. And I think that the creative arts are a good representation of our culture and who we are as a people. Thank you.
Excellency. Unfortunately,
we have to live with. I never expected or I never deluded myself that the fight against illegal gold mining or galamsey was going to be an event. I mean, definitely, there's no magic wand. The decay has eaten so much over the last 8 years that it's going to take a lot of work to be able to overcome it. And I didn't expect that in 18 months we'll declare victory in the fight. As the livelihoods of about 4 million Ghanaians is on small-scale mining. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to be an event. But we will not give up. We have a determination to get on top of it. The Gold Board was introduced as part of reforms. And if the Gold Board was not introduced, I mean, those who were taking the profits from the small-scale mining sector were the foreign traders who were taking that money away. In 6 months, we have exported over $6 billion. About $4 billion of that money was going to go into the private or foreign traders. And so the first thing is you shut the stable door so that the horse doesn't escape, which is what we've done. So if it's from illegal sources, it's from legal sources. At least it's our land that is being destroyed. So let us get the benefit of it instead of foreign traders. So that's the first thing. But if you go and read the Gold Board law, it has a requirement for tracking and tracing. And as I speak, the Gold Board is working with an organization to put on a track and trace system. And so they're going to see those who have legitimate license requirements so that they can assist them in responsible mining, so that we can buy that gold off them. Once we do tracking and tracing, it's in our interest. Because then we can export under LBMA, and we'll get more profit from exporting under LBMA. So the Gold Board is not just about buying gold, it's also about financing responsible small-scale mining. And mind you, small-scale mining is not illegal in this country. It's provided for in our laws. It's just that in many cases, we've not even trained the miners about what responsible mining is. You just see anybody who gets an excavator just goes anywhere and starts digging and washing. But small-scale mining takes place in Australia. It takes place in Canada. And so as I speak, we are organizing a trip for the Small-Scale Miners Association to Australia. Australia has given us an invitation to bring them to come and see how small-scale mining is done without destroying the environment. And so that's something we're going to take an advantage of. And the Gold Board is leading, and the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources are leading that charge. Only recently, our Minister for Lands and Natural Resources came back from Australia. And so we need to train these small-scale miners. The gold is a blessing that God gave us. It's a natural resource that God gave us to make life better for our people. It's just that the way and manner in which we are going about it is causing distraction to the environment. But it is the result of an increase in the gold price. And if you've read widely, you find that the same thing is happening in Peru. It's happening in several other countries because of the heightened gold price. And so for whatever little gold you're able to find, you get more money. Galamsey was not a problem when gold was $2,000 per ounce. But today, gold is pushing $3,600 per ounce. And because of the lack of jobs, jobless growth for several decades, there are a lot of young people who are coming out of school who have no job work to do. And so for them, that is the only livelihood. And so we must not think just about chasing them all over the place without providing alternatives for them. Because the alternative is that they should stay home and starve or go out and do something deviant. And that's why we came up with the cooperative mining concept, for which we recently lost our colleagues. They were going to launch it, the first of its kind in Anglo, because one of the things we said was that we're going to let the big mining companies seed off some of their concessions. Some of them have 400, 500 miles square. And there's gold in some parts of those concessions that they will never mine because the grams per ton of ore is so low. But yet, if you put a small-scale miner there, he can mine it effectively. And so we've discussed with them and they've all agreed. And so Anglo Ashanti was the first. They've cut a part of the concession. And that is what Omani and Murtala and Co. are going to launch, cooperative mining, so that we'll move the small-scale miners from the forest reserves where they're causing distraction and settle them on the concessions where the big mining companies have seeded. As I speak, Newmont has demarcated an area for these small-scale miners. And we have asked the big companies to mentor them and supervise them and make sure they do the right thing. So that was going to be an alternative for moving them out of the forest and other places so that they can mine under the supervision of those companies. And that's where our colleagues were going when the helicopter crashed. And so it's a program that we're going to continue so that we can give them an alternative, not just go chase them around without finding something else for them to do. And so that's something we're working on. With regards to excavators, we're enforcing the law that you must get the permit before the excavator is put on a ship. That is what the law has been, but it was not followed. And so they let the excavator land before they come and ask the Ministry of Transport for a permit. And so we've informed all the dealers that you cannot load an excavator onto a ship until you have gotten a permit. In the meantime, a lot of excavators have arrived at the port. And recently, somebody said they were being released at midnight to their owners and things. That's not true. What happens was there were so many that they had occupied a huge area of the port and congested the port. And so we found the land near Shy Hills, near the military installation. And the Field Engineers Regiment and others have been given charge to move the excavators from the port to that area so that they can free up space in the port. And they do that in the night because of traffic in the daytime. So in the night, they have the payloaders moving the excavators out of the port to the designated areas where they are supposed to be held. And before any of those excavators is released, they must be tracked. They must have a tracker on them They must be registered by the owner of the excavator, and we must know the purpose for which the excavator has been imported. Because the construction industry also imports excavators. And so you cannot put a blanket ban on importation of excavators just because you think that every excavator is going to go into the illegal mining industry. Even the big mining companies that have licenses import excavators. And so we want to know who is importing the excavators, who it is going to. We want to be able to put a tracker on it and be able to trace that excavator wherever it is in the country. We called off the IGP's anti-galamsey task force because they are supposed to coordinate with NIMOS, that is the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat. Unfortunately, they were not doing that. So every little commander in any this thing gets up, galamsey phobia or they can't tell who is licensed, they can't tell who is not licensed. And so it was just small-scale mining industry. And so what we said was they should freeze their action. They should synchronize it with the National Anti-Galamsey Operational Secretariat so that they can be directed exactly to where to go in terms of the anti-galamsey fight. While we're fighting galamsey, it doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all for everybody to get up. Anybody gets up, puts on a helmet, puts on a jacket, and says, I'm anti-galamsey. They say, we're not looking for chaos. We're looking to do it, you know, in a scientific manner so that we do not hurt the whole of the small-scale mining industry. We talked about special courts for anti-corruption. I actually said we'll speak with the Chief Justice and see if they can create special courts for prosecuting people who are flagged in the Auditor General's report. And so that is something the Attorney General is pursuing, because every year we see Auditor General's report, it goes before the Public Accounts Commission, they say this person diverted this person misappropriated this and that, and yet no action is taken. And so Ghanaians have been saying, so what's the use of the Auditor General's report? And so we're asking the Chief Justice, can you create special courts which can fast-track action on the Auditor General's report? So people who are determined to be criminally liable after the Public Accounts Committee has sat can be put before those courts so that they are sanctioned to create a deterrent so that other people do not do the same thing that they have done. A very good question on rent and homelessness, and I'm happy to give you the microphone to ask it. The biggest expenditure in any Ghanaian's budget is rent. And even though we have laws, enforcing them has been difficult. The rent law says that a landlord cannot charge more than 6 months. But the problem in enforcing the law is the connivance of the tenant and the landlord.
Sheikhna, na gode sosai, na gode da ziyaranka zuwa nan ga na addu'a muka yi yau, muka sauka Qur'ani so uku, muka Allah godiya da komai duka. Dai muna ma Allah godiya tukuna. Muna ma Allah godiya don wannan sarauta ba na ce naku ne, umman mu duka. Duk wanda ya ce ya zama la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, salatu wanda John Dramani Mahama ya ba mu naku ne. Ina roko Allah, bin da nake roko Allah na ba shine min na roko Allah ya barin ke wurin nan da lafiya. Kowane abu zani taba wurin zo zinare ba mu duka ne. Mu yan zongo musulmi duka salatu ga naku ne. Na diyan ku Allah ya ba mu to kuma na ce kamar naku ne. In ba ku nan ba ni na. Haka ne. Don ina nan dai dole ne in Allah ya da kamar da kuka sani ni dai I'm not a lazy person. Ina son na tanye mutane mu na duba inda za ni duka da iko Allah da barkacin da Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In duba inda za ni duka in tanye mutane mu yan musulmin especially mu duba inda za mu areas mu ne za mu yi mu tanye mutane mu kai employment su zo sauri zo su aiki kadan wanda kuma ya yi schooling shi gaba kuma a tanye shi. Businessmen na kuma wanda suka cikin export business da mai duka a tennis wanda suka so da scholarships mai duka kuma ngwa duka ko na da tanye hospitals da su kaza masallacai ya schools da mai duka mun duba bin Allah zai yi. Allah dai ya barin ke wurin nan bukatun mu duka ya biya so that the benefit at the end of the day ya zo ya ba mu yan musulmi. Kuma ina ma John Dramani Mahama addu'a sosai, Allah ya ba shi lafiya, ya ba shi dogon rai, ya yi ya rika garin mu gane nan ga sosai da yana kokari. Kuma ina zai mai wani kuma godiya sosai shine ministan mu na foreign affairs shine boss. Gaskiya Allah mutum muna ciran shi the 24-hour minister for Ministry of Foreign Affairs shine Honorable Ablakwa. Gaskiya yana buga aiki ba muku kariya, wannan minista yana buga aiki sosai daidai da rana zuwa har 12 o'clock 2 o'clock duka da safe to kana ga shi office yana aiki. Ina bire ya transform wannan Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Lalle mun shiga wani major orientation, muka fara tun Monday ziya muka kare ran Juma. Shi ne ya organize wannan duka orientations nan duka ya ba mu wanda new ambassadors duka suka shiga da muku duka su ma sun ci amfani wannan orientation don su ma first post su kai. Amma mun wanda muka take before at least mun san terrain nan in aikin nan much at least much better. Ministan na dai Allah ya ja zamani shi don mutum kirki ne, mai ladabi, mai tsoro Allah, wanda kuma ina son mutane, kuma wanda kuma ina bai tanje mutane mu sosai. Gaskiya Allah bai maka kariya ba wai ina yi wannan magana saboda ana sa wannan makami nono, ni na san shi sosai. Shi Honorable Ablakwa mutum kirki ya san aiki shi sosai, kuma Allah tanye shi gaba ya zama aske ba shi insha Allah da lokacin nan Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.